video 11 in the playlist that's devoted to 3D Experience CATIA generative shape design application. This particular playlist deals with the Surface tab available in GSD, and the particular icon that I'm going to be looking at is the multi-sections surface. It is one of the more complicated icons, and because of the lots of options that you've got, but what I already did in video 11 was take two open profiles and said a few things about it. What I like to do here is to extend this thing to uh, three open profiles. Now, the the issues that we want to address is the automatic coupling that's done, which is ratio in generative shape design. And but we like to look at what happens if you select tangency, then curvature, or vertices as a simple case, in the case of a simple problem. Now, uh, at the bottom ribbon is like that in GSD, and the surface tab here and multi-section surfaces is over there. And clicking on that will give you a dialog box, and most of the stuff is really hidden in this advanced options. Upon expanding the advanced option, you see the large number of possibilities that the user can pick. And for the particular case that we're looking at, because the coupling is done automatically, by default it is ratio, and then we're going to look at tangency, the curvature, and vertices. This is the problem that I did in video 11. These two curves were generated. So if you want to know how these were generated, please go ahead and watch the first 3-4 minutes of video 10. But what I like to do, here's the information that was presented there. Notice that there are these purple points, which are points of tangent discontinuity, and there are these green points, which are points of curvature discontinuity. Now, what I'm going to do is I will add a third plane halfway between these two and start putting sketches on it, and then we investigate what happens when you use these three. So, for example, this is one possibility, and we'll look at it in a minute. The choice of the name tangency and tangency then curvature is a misnomer because of the way these are intended to be named. They're discontinuities in tangency and discontinuity in curvature. This is a very good video, but it's a bit outdated because maybe 3-4 years, and the interface has changed dramatically. Some of the dialog boxes in release 2026 that I'm using. The other thing is that because there may be choices where there may be a situation where your selection choices may be contradicting other choices. Either the software will give you an error message, or just that you get something that cannot make sense out of it. Okay, they may be conflicting. So let's go ahead to our geometry. This was done in video 10. Not going to repeat it. So what I'm going to do is I will actually create a point in a plane in the middle. So let me show you where that YZ plane is. It's right there. I'm going to go to wireframe and offset from this, and 25 is exactly halfway in the middle. And then I'm going to add a profile here. Suppose that the profile that I take, just hypothetically, let's take a broken line like this. I don't know, something. Okay, exit. So what I have done is this thing that was added right there. Let me actually change the color and the scale of this. So sketch 4 properties, I'm going to change the color to, let's say, purple, and the size of it I'm going to make bigger so that we can see it. So this is the one that I just added, and now we're going to go to Surface tab, multi-section surface, and I will pick them in the order that I want. So I want this thing to be section 1, this thing to be section 2, and this thing to be section 3. And notice that the arrows for section 2 and 3 is pointing to the right, but this one is pointing to the left. So I want to flip this so that they all move in the same direction. Now notice that the default under the without me creating any coupling, the default in automatic coupling is ratio. Okay, ratio. So let's say preview, see what happens, and this is what I'm going to get. So you know what ratio means is that it starts traveling along section 1 at certain percentage of the length travel. It takes a point, it travels along section 2 and section 3 by the same percentage, and then connect them with essentially lines or surfaces, depending on whether you're dealing with flat place, etc. But anyway, that's what happened. Now, if I go to multi-section and I say, you know what, I actually don't want ratio, I want tangency. What that means is that go figure out on consecutive plots that I've generated, where are the tangency discontinuities? Now notice that if I select this, for the first curve back there, tangent discontinuity is at this corner point here and at this corner point, okay? For this curve, also I have two tangent discontinuities. These better be the same number, and the same thing with the other one. Otherwise, you can't use tangency, okay? So notice that there are two sharp corners, one over here, one over there in profile 1, one over here, and one over there in profile 2, and one over here, one over there in profile 3. And if they match, it'll try to connect those and give you a surface. I'm going to say preview it. Before I do that, let me show you that with the ratio, you have some additional lines that are created. That's the nature of the beast. Preview. Notice that these lines are no longer there. It connects this tangent discontinuity to that tangent discontinuity to that tangent discontinuity and uses it as a guide. And the same thing on this side. Now, if I say do it for curvature, tangency, then curvature, so it not only tries to find places where there are tangency discontinuities, and we already know that, is those locations that we just saw a minute ago, but places where there are curvature discontinuity. Now, the curvature discontinuity, if you look at video 10, you see that it's of course, the places where there's tangent discontinuity, we know that, that's not a brainer. But it also has there's the tangent curvature discontinuity at where these two arcs come together on the side and in the front. But for this intermediate curve, there are no places with curvature discontinuity because at these the curvature is all zero. It's a zero constant. It's a straight line. Okay. So when I try to do tangency then curvature and say preview, it collapse. Okay. You put it back to tangency, no problem, we'll come back. Now let's check the vertices. Are there same number of vertices in all these three curves? Let's see. If not, it's not going to be able to use that option. And obviously it's not, because this has more, this intermediate one has really 4 vertices, but this back curve and the front curve has more than 4 vertices. Okay. Now, let me cancel that. So let me put it back to ratio. Okay, good. I want to go to that curve that I had. where was that curve? This one that I sketched number 4, and make some changes. Instead of this, I'm going to try, instead of this, I'm going to try the arc of a circle. Delete the arc of a circle, or you can draw a spline if you want. I'll draw the arc of a circle, doesn't matter how. So this is my intermediate, doesn't matter. Let me make this thing a little bit smaller. Okay. Well, or larger, this size. Okay. Notice that what it did, in ratio, no problem. Ratio is no problem. But when I try to say, okay, do it for tangency, it looks at the front and the back curves, says, oh yeah, there are points of this tangent discontinuity, but this guy never has it. This is a continuously, has a continuous tangent. So if I try to change this thing to tangency, it'll fall apart. There. And of course, the same thing with the next one, obviously, and vertex is not going to work. Good. So let me cancel that. Let me go back to that sketch. Let me go back to that sketch, sketch number 4, and modify it. So I'm going to draw a line here, a tilted line, and I'm going to quick trim some of the stuff that I don't want. I want to get rid of this and that and that. So exit. Notice that here, ratio will work. Ratio pretty much always works. But tangency, you have to have the same number of tangent discontinuities in all these 3 curves, and you do, because tangent discontinuities for this back curve is 2 already at these sharp corners. Front one is also 2 sharp corners, and in this modification that I made, also 2 places where the tangent is discontinuous, these top corners on the right and corner on the left. So if I go here and change it from ratio to tangency, it will work. There we are. It worked. Okay. Notice that it connected these sharp corners together and use it as a guide. But if I go here, let's see now, say tangent then curvature. Now the curvature, okay, so let's see now. Check it out. Okay. The problem is that the curvature is not working because there is a discontinuity in curvature here, okay? Same place, obviously, that the tangency is not holding up. Tangent discontinuity, curvature. But on this piece, there are no places where the curvature is discontinuous. Whereas in the front and the back, these places where the arcs come together, the curvature is not continuous. And of course, vertices probably also doesn't work. It's not. One last thing that I'm going to do. I don't know whether I did the. Oh, I did the arc. Okay. So let's do. Let's go back there one more time, and I'm going to change this thing a little bit. I'll do some weird thing. Okay. Again, ratio will work. Ratio will always work. Let's see what this thing is. This is not ratio. This is tangency, actually. Double click. This is tangency, and you can see that there's discontinuities at this point in tangency and the sharp corners, the front and the back, etc. So it works. But if you go to ratio, it also work always, but you get these extra lines, and tangent then curvature does not work. And the same thing with vertices. Now, vertices, I'm not sure. Let's figure it out. Yeah, but if you add, let's do something here. I cancel that. So, okay. Let's go back here and introduce some more vertices. So I don't want this. Okay, so let's add one more vertex. So we have one, two, three. It's kind of hard to see how many vertices do you have in here. Let's figure it out. Exit. Let me see what choice do we have here. Vertices, no, we probably need four. Let's go back here and let's add one more. Let's see if this one works. Double click. The vertices, yeah, with vertices now we have same number of vertices in the front and the back curve and whatever we created right there. So there's the vertices. The ratio, of course, is going to change. See that? Pretty much always works. And tangency, I don't think it's going to work because you have probably, let's see, yeah, because you have different number of tangent discontinuities in the front, back, and the middle curve. You know, these things, if you look at all, if you want to look at all the possibilities, it's very time consuming and yeah, that's why it's under the advanced stuff, advanced